Some Dallas Cowboys rumors to discuss here. KJ Wright. The Cowboys are in an interesting spot here, as KJ Wright has come out and done some media push and media campaign. Well, Wright says the Cowboys are on his list of dream teams. And I'm going to let you guys in on a secret here. When you start to see this type of reports and you see players blatantly trying to get a team interested, that means the market's not doing well for that player, and he's yet to get the type of offer that he thought he was going to get in free agency. Now, there are some logical connections between KJ Wright and the Cowboys. Namely, the first one, the biggest one, Dan Quinn, the former Seahawks defensive coordinator, is the Cowboys' new defensive coordinator. And KJ Wright is a good football player. And the Cowboys need more good football players on that defensive side of the ball. Coming off a very strong season. 86 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 10 pass breakups. In coverage, the comp percentage was very high. The yards weren't, and 10 pass breakups for a linebacker is a lot. Those are very good. That's very good production by KJ Wright. So from a player value perspective, he's good. There's no way around that. Yes, the Cowboys and others should have interest. Now to where things could get a little bit more complicated for the Cowboys and for KJ Wright. Then with the role. Now, for now, I'm going to list Keanu Neal and also Jaron Curse as a kind of a linebacker safety hybrid. Jalen's been set, I think, to play Mike. He could move back there, of course. There's been some conflicting reports on that. Leighton Vander Esch is going to be the weak side linebacker. If you bring in KJ Wright, you make Keanu Neal kind of the backup weak side linebacker. Wright becomes your starting Sam linebacker, which makes sense because we've seen KJ Wright play that Sam role great for Seattle last year, and he can stand the field on second downs. But if you're having a first-round pick in Leighton Vander Esch, if you're still going to pay Jalen Smith, how much money are you prepared to invest in KJ Wright to be a rotational piece at linebacker who may or may not play that number 2 linebacker role? Is he the third? Is he the fourth? It's a good question, right? So do you want to sign KJ Wright? Get your votes in here for me. Type in 1 for yes or 0 for no. Now, I kind of alluded to this next part here. Money's a factor. As it is for every single Cowboys move in history, it always has to come at the right price. Amid reports, by the way, that KJ Wright wants a multi-year deal. As I hope we learned in the Dak Prescott negotiations, money and length, they go hand in hand. The longer the deal, the more money that player should be making. The Cowboys have only signed 1-year deals outside of Terrell Basham so far. Would they go to 2 for KJ Wright? Does he want 3 or more? What is he looking for? And are the Cowboys going to pay more than what they gave Keanu Neal, which was $4 million, in order to bring in KJ Wright and then be set, at least in the short term, at the linebacker position? I don't know. What I do know, and this should be obvious to everyone, the market is not great right now for KJ Wright. He is available because there hasn't been the interest that I thought, and I know KJ Wright thought as well, he was going to command. You can take the Jets off the list since they added Gerard Davis. Money's been kind of tight across the NFL by teams' choosings. And because Wright's an older player, teams have been hesitant to throw big money at him. So I am very intrigued what happens here. I do think there is a very real possibility that KJ Wright ends up going to the Dallas Cowboys. It's going to come at what the team wants to pay him. And despite the rather obvious KJ Wright push and his camp's push to get the Cowboys in the mix, I'm unconvinced it's going to happen for sure, but I do think there is some semblance of interest on both sides, and we'll just see if the money ends up being correct. To the other Cowboys linebacker we're going to discuss today, Sean Lee. Now, look, Mike McCarthy has made this point a couple days ago, that the Cowboys are still in discussions with Sean Lee about his future, and that he considered retirement in the past few off seasons. And as of right now, the future a bit unclear for Sean Lee. And I do know at some point, coaching is going to be in his future. Now the question is that this offseason or next year or whenever? I am a little bit surprised that we sit here almost through March and we do not have an official announcement one way or the other about what Sean Lee is going to do. And Sean Lee in the past has turned down, frankly, bigger money to go play for a different NFL team to stick with the Cowboys. And he's this close, by the way, to being one of the very few who spent their entire careers with the Dallas Cowboys. And I love Sean Lee, one of my all-time favorite players. I just wonder if the lack of a decision so far is due to, does Lee not know what he wants yet? Does he want to get more money? What is his goal there? At some point, Sean Lee's going to coach. But what should he do for this upcoming season? Get your votes in for me. Type P for play or type in C for coach. I think Sean Lee can still help you as a football player. But we have to be realistic with what that help is going to look like. He is not going to be a top 10, top 5 linebacker like I would argue he once was when he was healthy. He's missed a lot of time over his NFL career, and he played only 9 games last year. Now, he was healthy back in 2019, 86 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 INT. I just don't think that is a realistic outcome in the end for the Cowboys to get a 2019 Sean Lee. I love him because he brings you so much impact from especially the mental side of the game. He is a brilliant football player. That's why he's going to be a coach, right? If he wants to come back on the cheap and be linebacker 5-ish or even 4-ish, okay, I'm down. And then he'll be a coach maybe next year. But I don't think that's the route that's going to end up happening for the Cowboys and for Sean Lee unless he wants to take a very small contract. This team's being tight with their money, but they do have some set aside for Sean Lee if that's the route they choose to go down. Speaking of being tight with money, I did want to mention the Damontae Kazee contract details here. A 1-year, not a typo here, this is from Aaron Wilson of the Houston Chronicle, who's got all the contract stuff. 1-year, $1.127 million deal. That is profoundly cheap for a player of Kazee's caliber. Has just under $400,000 guaranteed in his contract. Now, Kazee only played in 4 games due to his Achilles injury. But this deal is incredibly cheap, and it's a very, very team-friendly value for the Dallas Cowboys. And it puts them in a position where they don't have to need a safety early in the NFL draft. Now, they should still want one, but they don't have to go throw money or throw an early draft pick at a safety with Kazee under contract for this upcoming season. It seemed to be between him and Malik Hooker. I wanted Malik Hooker, but I'm not going to complain about Damontae Kazee coming in. Is he going to be 7 interception 2018 Kazee? No, probably not. Can he be better than Xavier Woods and Clinton Dix and the other seniors the Cowboys in recent seasons? Yes, I absolutely think so. So from that perspective, it's a great, great value from the Dallas Cowboys. Long expected, but also, once again, reportedly, right? The NFL is moving to a 17-game schedule for this upcoming season. This has been reported many a time, was mentioned again by Adam Schefter at NFL.com, so we're bringing it back up again. As has been the expectation, extra game gets added, no extra bye week, and just 3 preseason games. Not even 2 has been discussed. It's 3 down from the more typical 4. Now, there are some NFL players, mind you, who are not fans of this particular move, which I do think makes some sense. Alvin Kamara among the outspoken ones. But we knew this was coming. This was a very clear path that was being headed down. I use passive voice poorly. Once the NFL moved to make all this happen. This was going to be the case, and it was expected it was going to happen this year, especially as the new TV contract money gets to hit around the NFL. Now, as we've mentioned before, we do know the assumed matchups. It's cross-division AFC versus NFC. AFC expected to host in this upcoming 2020 season, and then it flips for 2022. So it's Washington at Buffalo, Giants at Miami, the Cowboys at the Patriots, Eagles at the Jets. Of course, it's matched up based on where they finished last season. So number 1 seed versus number 1, number 4 versus number 4, all that good stuff. Fun matchup, by the way, Seahawks at the Steelers. Ooh, that's an interesting, juicy matchup. Rams at the Ravens, Cardinals at Browns, Niners at Bengals. Who will start at quarterback? I guess we'll find out. The Saints at the Titans, the Bucks at the Colts, Brady versus Wentz, the Panthers at the Houston Texans, and the Falcons at the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is not the most appealing option ever. I think the best matchup of these new extra 17-game matchup, the Packers at the Chiefs. Man, that one should be a prime-time game. That's awesome football. The Bears take on the Raiders, which I'm very intrigued by because it's the Khalil Mack revenge game. Vikings at the Chargers. The Detroit Lions, by the way, also taking on the Denver Broncos. So, two not-so-great teams that could maybe have a different quarterback in 2021 and potentially even in 2022 if things get really weird. So what do you guys think about the assumed 17-game season? Do you like this? Is this a path that you think the NFL should be going down? First time in a long time they've added games to the schedule here. Get your votes in for me. Do you like the 17-game season? Type in Y for yes or type in N for no.